Mello TV. The Mello TV Evening News at 8 is brought to you by the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Coronavirus is in Jamaica, and I know you feel scared and worried. But you can't let COVID-19 divide us. Coronavirus infects all kinds of people. It doesn't discriminate. So why should you? When someone coughs or sneezes or shows signs of the virus, tell them to call 888-1-LOVE immediately. And remember, stay 3 feet away, but don't attack or disrespect them, because we're all in this thing together. Come on, Jamaica, cut the hate and don't discriminate. Let us stand together and fight COVID-19 as one family, one nation.
Good evening. In breaking news tonight, the Ministry of Health and Wellness has announced 1 new case of COVID-19 in the last 24 hours, taking the total number of confirmed cases on the island to 763, with 647 recoveries to date. Continuing with the news tonight as we continue to look at the findings from our Mello TV poll, POLL-STER and CEO of Johnson Survey Research Limited, Bill Johnson, political commentator Linton Gordon, and political analyst Paul Bourne will be analyzing this evening's numbers on the vote standings for both the People's National Party and the Jamaica Labour Party based upon the views of the public. We took to the streets earlier today to get the views of residents, and this is what they had to say.
If I started to see, improvements on one of the politics side, I would vote. And I would vote for that person to see, okay, then you're doing something good for the country. And that is my time of saying, okay, then me see, okay, then me in the tourist industry world, and me see then it's working out for people who are having more jobs out there. Then I will work. I will vote. I will vote for more, and just what the person is doing is just that I want to see the country develop a little bit better. Jamaican people, for example.
Well, I probably think that I'm voting for JLP because of the work they're doing so far. They seem to be in touch with the community, like especially on Twitter, for example. Like whenever there's any issues spoken about on Twitter, the management or whoever runs the page of the JLP person, like for example Mr. Andrew Holness, like they respond to certain issues and I see work being done.
I don't think Andrew Holness is doing a good job. I know he's doing a good job. He has created more housing solution in the short space of time that he's in power than any other government. He has delivered on most of his promises so far than most of the previous administrations. Young people on a whole have supported Andrew Holness. For one, he has injected back life in the political process. Before, we felt like we weren't a part of it, but he has injected some, new life into young people. That's why we call him Bro God, because we feel like he's a part of us and we are part of him. And overall, the general consensus on the streets is that the JLP is the best party right now.
In news from St. James, councillor for the Montego Bay South Division is refuting claims made by People's National Party candidates regarding the cleaning of the drains in the Railway Lane community. Here is our reporter Killeen May with more on this story.
Councillor for the Montego Bay South Division, Richard Vernon, responded to comments made by People's National Party PNP candidates Andre Hilton and Gerald Chambers regarding the drains in the Railway Lane community not being cleaned.
I understand that it was said that the drain is not being cleaned. That is a lie. There is no evidence that it is not being cleaned. The situation that exists is one which needs to be addressed infrastructurally. What we have been doing over the past few months is to get an estimate as it regards to the reconstruction of that drain. That drain has been there for many, many years, over 30 years. The drain has been like that ever since I was a child. And I would tell you that these gentlemen who came there yesterday or whenever they went there and were looking at the drain, they wouldn't know this because they're not even from Montego Bay. But I dare say to them, welcome to Montego Bay, and that is what you will see when you go to Railway Lane, because we need to address the situation holistically. First of all, the drain is below sea level and you will see water in it. We also had a problem with the pond that is parallel to the drain. There was a bridge that was encroaching on the drain and causing a backlog of water and garbage. And that was addressed in March as well. A notice was served by the St. James Municipal Corporation to the operator of the pond, and that matter was addressed. The bridge was removed, and now the drain can run freely.
Councillor Vernon also outlined plans in addressing the issues in the community.
Now, what we want to do is to do a complete reconstruction of the drain, right from Railway Lane all the way to Lightbody Avenue, and you will see a better situation where that is concerned. The drain, the structural integrity of the drain has been compromised, and the walls are falling apart, and the base of the drain has been destroyed due to cleaning over the years by machinery, the backhoe in particular. And therefore you will see a stagnation in the drain, as you have seen in the videos displayed.
Councillor Vernon further addressed allegations made by Councillor Caretaker for Southern Montego Bay, Gerald Chambers.
Now, the gentleman that addressed the situation on visiting the area also cast some aspirations as to my integrity. I'm from a good family, a business family, and I'm in this to serve the people of Montego Bay, and my intentions have not changed. And I would also like to say that that comment that was made is very unfortunate, and I believe it has legal ramifications, one which will also be reported to my lawyer and be addressed accordingly. Now, as it relates to the community of Railway Lane, we have big plans for Railway Lane. We want to create proper parking in the area because it is one of Montego Bay's main commercial districts. And there was a relocation program done many years ago, in 2000, I believe. And persons there, they were asked to be relocated, and they were relocated to Providence by flanker. And most of these persons, if not all, have relocated, but a few of them, they returned to Railway Lane to take up residence or to continue living there.
Reporting from Mello TV News, I'm Colleen May.
In news from the capital, a correctional officer who allegedly sexually assaulted a woman at the barracks of the Tower Street Adult Correctional Center in Kingston has now been charged by the police. The accused, Gavin Winter of Richmond Park in St. Mary, was charged with rape earlier this week and is scheduled to appear in the Kingston and St. Andrew Parish Court in Halfway Tree on July 24. Reports coming into our news center from the Kingston Eastern Police are that on June 20, the correctional officer invited the 31-year-old waitress to a social event. Further reports are that after the event was over, Winter offered to transport the woman home, but while en route there, he diverted and took her to the Tower Street Adult Correctional Facility that houses only male inmates. He then reportedly took her to his barracks and allegedly forcibly sexually assaulted her against her will. The matter was reported to the Center for the Investigation of Sexual Offences and Child Abuse, CISOCA. He was subsequently interviewed, charged, and granted bail in the sum of $250,000 with surety. Back in St. James, the police there have confirmed that 2 men lost their lives and several others, including 2 American visitors, were injured in a motor vehicle collision that occurred along the Rose Hall Main Road yesterday. The police have identified the victims as 30-year-old Ricardo Gordon, a mechanic of Gulf in Norwood, as well as the flanker community, and 59-year-old tourbus operator Jeffrey Garwood of Florence Hall in Trelawney. Reports coming into our news center are that shortly after 5:30 p.m., Mr. Gordon was driving a Honda CR-V vehicle toward Rose Hall when he was hit from behind by a Toyota Mark X motor vehicle. The impact of the crash sent Mr. Gordon's vehicle crashing into the front of a Toyota Hiace minibus being driven by Mr. Garwood, who received severe injuries. Mr. Gordon died on the spot. Mr. Garwood was rushed to the hospital, where he died while being treated. 5 other passengers in the vehicle also received injuries and were rushed to the hospital in serious condition. The occupants of the Mark X reportedly fled the scene. Still making news tonight, Minister of Local Government Desmond McKenzie has announced that small outdoor events, amusement parks, water attractions and sports bars will be allowed to resume operations temporarily starting Tuesday, July 21 until July 31. Functions that are allowed to take place are small outdoor concerts, parties, round robins, religious celebrations and festivals. However, hosts of these events must ensure that patrons adhere to safety measures such as social distancing, wearing of masks and sanitizing, and each event will be subject to strict protocols. Still making news tonight, as at July 21, only senior citizens aged 75 years and older will be required to remain indoors under the stay-at-home order, which was put in place to protect the most vulnerable residents from COVID-19. Now the government has relaxed the restriction of movement imposed on this group of residents, raising the designated age up from 65 years. Minister of Local Government and Community Development, the Honorable Desmond McKenzie, made the announcement in a statement in the House of Representatives yesterday. Minister McKenzie also outlined that the protection of the nation's seniors is one very important reason why we should all be observing the health protocols. Now, in a Mello TV news update, freshly running water in the community of Salt River will now ease the burden of the water challenges that residents there were facing following the commissioning of the water system yesterday. More on this story with Tamara Mikhail.
Residents of Salt River in Clarendon are overjoyed as the community has been given access to piped water for the first time in more than 60 years. Southeast Clarendon Member of Parliament, Pernell Charles Jr., commissioned the water system yesterday, opening the line to the standpipe along the Salt River main, which will serve hundreds of households in and around the area. According to the Member of Parliament, Salt River residents will now see improved access to potable water, improved efficiency, and a reduced need for trucking, as the 2 wayside tanks have been connected to the main pipeline, so residents will have automatic refill. He said the standpipe is only a temporary measure until a long-term solution is implemented. Additional wayside tanks will also be installed along the roadway from Salt River through to Tarrington to increase storage capacity. For many Salt River residents, it's the first time they have been given access to piped water in their lifetime. Another resident expressed that the new system will now ease the burden of the water challenges the community had been facing. For Mello TV News, I am Tamara Mikhail.
Continuing with the news, Minister of Tourism, Minister Edmund Bartlett, announced yesterday that the island's south coast is now open to tourists following the launch of a South Coast Resilient Corridor, which runs from Milk River to Negril. The minister further stated that in an effort to drive the continued safe reopening of the tourism sector, the new corridor, which was introduced in June, will welcome visitors with robust health and safety protocols. He also stated that this expansion will enable visitors to experience the tourism product while enabling tourism businesses and workers to restart operations in a safe environment. He also noted that the key protocol of this corridor includes limiting access to only authorized properties that ensure that visitors will be traveling to COVID-19 compliant locations. And those were the stories making news. I am Shelley Hill. We'll now join Nicole Hales with Decision 2020.